and they're investing in Phiron as well as getting into crypto in general. So I've got a whole lot of really great news for everybody and updates on what we're doing. I think it's been like, what, 2 weeks since we've done this? And they're investing in Phiron as well as getting into crypto in general. Sorry, we are broadcasting live on YouTube now from the Phiron channel. I'm going to go jump in Telegram real quick and say we're on. Copy. Cool. Admit all. Who's that? Daniel's in bed relaxing. Nice, dude. Pulling up the, I didn't even get baseline today. Oh my God. Yeah, I slept right through my alarm this morning. I got in at like 1 a.m., so I didn't hit my 4:30 a.m. alarm. So, welcome. Today is June 28th, Monday, June 28th, and the Phiron pledge is, I pledge my mind to the respectful recognition of the sovereign liberty essential to human dignity. I pledge my hands to the creation and maintenance of communal, cultural, and ecological prosperity. I pledge my eyes to watch over the integrity of truth and justice with the acceptance of natural balance of diversity and equality. I pledge my heart to the connection that binds all of us throughout creation. And I pledge my whole being with humility and love to the grateful service of all sentient beings, God, and human consciousness. And I will duly act in accordance to the principles derived from such wisdom. All right, so not disturbed. So where do we start? So I flew out to Colorado, met a group that was comprised mostly of really well-established American families. I gave a crypto talk on a Zoom chat to a private audience of intelligence community and some other folks the week prior, 2 weeks prior. And out of that, we have had a whole bunch of interest in Phiron from really like the right folks. And we've got a bunch of private individuals coming in at about $500,000 now committed. So that's really incredible. That gives us not only a bunch more years of build out, but we can actually start building things like the DEX and the HIPAA compliant blockchain and start seeing some really great revenues. This is incredible, but we have three really incredible opportunities ahead of us right now. And it's become not a matter of if the money comes in, but when, which is really exciting. I've said before, we need the 3 mil to get the application up and running. And with that, we have a couple $1 billion IP that we can license and make real revenue on right away. And that's in the medical records and the HIPAA compliant blockchain. And then if we hit our 10 million goal, we can build out the phones, get the sensors in them, and start selling those phones to security organizations, governments, yada, yada, yada. That ties in with the medical thing because we have 2 projects running right now in the Philippines and in South Africa to handle all of their medical records, their COVID management, and through the app, the sensor, and the medical records. And those are, like I said, both a couple $1 billion in revenue right there. But then with the sensor and the phone, that's a very, very profitable enterprise. And then also the building materials. So with this 500,000 that's coming in, we can get the app, start getting revenue, and then build out the rest. However, we have a previous licensee client who owes us 42 million, and now it is a matter of them filing is getting their rebates and then giving us the money. So that should happen at some point this year. Also, we've been approached by the UN, essentially, some representatives, not of the UN, but of projects underneath the UN. The UN wants to do their whole Agenda 2030 thing. They want to be able to really remediate the environment and handle humanity in a better way. If we build their technology, we get to dictate a little bit of how that goes. And that's really important. They like everything we've presented so far. They really like the medical records and COVID mediation, but also universal basic income and some of the things that we've talked about as an organization, being able to provide people payments for simply involving themselves, educating themselves, learning, taking part in the conversations, taking part in the voting, helping to steer Spaceship Earth together. So they really like that, and they're going to coach us in how to fill out the proposal so that we definitely get that money. And that's a couple $100 million to build out real world facilities. They have a mandate to have 27 smart cities around the world, or at least the pilot programs in those cities. And we're sort of at the top of the list as a provider for the tech. And again, that gives us an opportunity to dictate how that unfolds, right? Which is really where we are at with that and why it's important. And then also we have a number of immigration attorneys who have waiting lists of people who want US visas and US green cards. And to get a US visa, you just put $900,000 down into a business in the United States, and you can get your visa and start, living here and get on your road to citizenship. So that's another 400 million of available investment to Phiron Global Partners and Phiron as a whole in the whole project. So we're really looking really good right now. The winds are at our sails, and we have a lot of interest from very important people who see this as a strategic infrastructure play, people who are recognizing the revenue and returns that they can make with a coin that gives them new coins, and then also the technology and how we're going to help a whole lot of people live better quality of life. So big updates, not very long in terms of explaining, but really good stuff. So yeah, that's the Phiron update right there. Wondering if we have any questions, or if anybody wants to add anything that they've seen or observed in the past week or two since we've had our last Fireside Chat. Thanks, Alliston. Yes, this is super duper great news, like really great news. And we have some issues, and I want to get into those, but first, I want to see if there are any questions, and then we're going to have a discussion about the app itself and some things that I've noticed and things that I'd like to change and some ideas that I have about that, but I want to run it by you all first. So, Fong, go ahead.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. So I heard you mention the UN, and it makes me a little nervous.
Yep.
And I'm wondering what your thoughts are around that. When I hear the UN, I hear of a global bureaucratic organization that has no interest in human life and endeavors to improve our environment.
They want to improve the environment. The problem there is that they believe by improving the environment by getting rid of a lot of people, right? So
right.
That's where the big disconnect is. And I 100% agree. I don't think that the United Nations was founded on the public story is like really great, right? But
right.
the effect and how it's been handled, and the idea of Satanists and all these people, it doesn't sit well. And if you're a Christian, the whole idea of global world government is really messed up. So that's why I feel like Phiron's so important, because this is going to happen. Now, the question is who builds it and who maintains control of it. If we build a system that really is controlled by the people, then that gives us an opportunity to really have a say in how it goes, rather than have it sat up on top of us with people dictating how it's going to go, right? The whole idea behind Phiron was like, I could see this coming and saying, well, then nobody's going to be better at building it than us, we the people. Otherwise, it's going to be built on top of us, not for us. This has to be a situation and a system of governance where the decentralized control is such that you have influence on your local community, you have say, and we prevent the corruption that's taking place in all of these other systems of governance. Our basic thesis is that we will outperform any system of governance, whether it's local bureaucratic, HOAs, all the way to a global governance system, right? Because I am a Christian, but at the same side of things, like I believe that we need to have one civilization, like we need to be one planetary civilization, right? If we are going to have any explorative abilities throughout the galaxies, doing any longevity, we are one species. And the fact that we're battling with each other is a fundamental problem. Any alien species that comes to see us, whether they're good, bad, or whatever, they're going to say, like, look at this being as a whole. It's at war with itself. It is not aware. It's barely sentient. If we can find a way to peace and to recognize the sovereign liberty in each one of us, and to celebrate the differences and the cultural differences and genetic differences and all of these things, like, then we can really accept one another, and we can all find our best selves, right? Within a system that actually serves us and is not using us as the means to serve itself. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense in the perfect world, but based on their track record, do you trust them?
No, that's the point, right? Is that's why we're building it, because ultimately then it is our system, right? And that if they want a system that ultimately hurts people, and we'd say, well, we'll just turn it off, or we won't build it in such a way that it can be that. The idea, again, is that we build in accountability, so that anybody who's using the system and has influence on others, if they start doing a bad job, you rate them like an Amazon product. And if they fall below a certain threshold of approval rating, then they lose the token that gives them the ability to do their job. So they're essentially fired by the collective, right? And it's the idea is that there are safeguards in place to prevent the accumulation of power, resources, or influence in any one position, so that there's no bottleneck and or one point of control.
Yeah, I'm just at a phase in my own life right now of not trusting any power entities. So it just kind of,
I agree.
Perk up. But I mean, yeah. And I think also to see, like, when you're at the point of execution, who's actually leading, the UN, and what, I mean, we know their ultimate agendas, but I do want to believe in the possibility for change too, right? So
yeah, I mean,
one can hope.
Yeah, this is sort of like the agorist standpoint. Is like, why do we need a government if everybody can just do what they want to do? And that, like, governments in the past, all they've done originally, it was like a strong family, and they would create a wall, and like they would say, this is our kingdom, and anybody who's with us, we go and destroy, or whatever. And like that's how city states started, and it would be like localized, and then they all fought with each other because it's just egos and humanity in general. And then it became bigger and bigger until you have the Roman Empire and these huge empires, and generally built on corruption and nepotism, where it's like my children then become the rulers, and then it's not based on merit, it's based on survival of the fittest and egoic insecurities, really. But I think we've established ourselves to a point, mostly as a species, that we recognize that war is not good. Pestilence, greed, these things are not good. But there are people who are ensconced in those positions of power and influence historically who still have the reins, and they don't want to give it up, right? Because they can't trust that we, the rabble, could actually manage this well. But the sophistication of the human species has gotten to a point where we can, and the centralized systems of economics and control naturally have to give way to a distributed governance system. And that's where we come in, is like we say, look, we can build this system, and there are safeguards to watch to see that we actually can do this. You're not giving up power, overnight. This has to demonstrate itself. It has to prove itself in the marketplace. Don't fuck with it. And watch and see what happens. And if the results are good and you feel comfortable, then we should be able to do that and have a distributed system. And again, it's not a government, right? It's a collective, a cooperative, where we're all deciding we want to go into this direction together. It's led by the future, not by the past and survival and trying to, maintain ourselves. It's like, let us have a inspiring vision of the future that we can all be on board with, and how do we best accomplish that goal with the body populace of humanity. So it's really just an efficient decision-making tool that allows us to build and do the things that we want to do as a species, and to be able to dream big and say, we have a collective vision for what our collective destiny can look like, and here's how we can execute on it, and build systems within it that allow us to build resources, prosperity, abundance, health, well-being, really empower everybody individually to become their best selves, and a clear way to operate. So it's kind of like the United States government was set up, the United States was set up to say, hey, we should run things ourselves. Here's our attempt at doing that. And it worked for so many years until it started becoming corrupt, like most systems do within 200 years, the governments, right? Because there's no accountability. But now we have the technology, provided the sun doesn't pop, and we have the, you know, the privilege and the blessing to be able to continue civilization on, have the tools where we can asynchronously around the world make decisions together, pick people that we think can best represent our interests or do that job to help the system continue, who at any given moment, if they're not doing their job right, we find somebody else. Because it's not like there's a shortage of capable people in the planet. It's just effective management tools and decision-making tools and resource management, right? So if we can set up an AI to just function on making more efficient our resource management, not making the decisions, but saying, based upon our calculations, if you do this, this, and this, you should have a better yield for this many people, you know, those basic functions, while we decide what is the inspiration or inspiring vision we want to build, and then using the tools and the people around us and the resources to best make those things come true. Because what we do as a creature that's profound and different from all the other creatures is we create things. We create, or like literally, I'm looking at all of the things in my house and the house itself and the systems that we live in, and they were just ideas that we said, let us make this happen, right? For better or for ill, let's build and create something. And that's what happens. We manifest, we're little reality generators. What we have is a system that has yoked us into generating realities that we wouldn't choose for ourselves if we had the awareness of what the repercussions of our actions were, or how the system that we're a part of works. Right now, the rats in the maze are becoming aware that they're rats in a maze. And so we're like, let us build a maze to our own benefit, right? So when I say the UN, these are systems that have been set up. These are, you know, legacy systems, game A systems that are that we have. We just have to deal with it at this point. Now, if we can outperform them, if we can demonstrate that we are capable as a species at a small level, local level, then larger and communal levels, and then, you know, geopolitically, like, it will just make sense and it'll just be obvious. And we can say, look, just don't kill us. Here, use the system. You can have it. Don't mess with ours, and we'll allow the system to balance itself out. We just need the ability to demonstrate it, operate it, and really outperform the rest. Because ultimately, like, if they want their stated goals are that they want, you know, universal basic income. They want health and wealth management, or health and well-being management. They want to own everything, and you will be happy. And in some regards, like, Phiron has a lot of those same ideas, right? Like, the corporation will own the yachts and the jets and these things, and everybody will have access to them based upon their role in the corporation. It's like being part of Visa or MasterCard and as a corporation, right? And then you like can access the private jet or the yachts or the corporate housing or corporate retreat centers and stuff like that, based upon the work that you do in the business. And so setting it up as a corporation rather than a government, corporations always outperform governments in terms of efficiency, in terms of scalability, in terms of proficiency or quality. So if we can set up a corporation, govern our corporation that way, set it up across borders, make decisions together and execute upon them, like, we can literally outperform all of the systems on the planet. They'll get a wind of it and they'll want it too, right? But since we're building the tech, we're the ones sort of in the pilot seat, and this determine who can get it and why. Because I have the same exact concerns as you, and that's like why I'm doing this, right? Because if we don't, then and if we continue going on in the same way humans have been, in the sense that we're proxying our fate to somebody else, of course they're going to build it in their own self-interest, right? So if we build it, then we're building it in our self-interest, and we can't go backwards from the idea of freedom and sovereignty with an American corporation or American government that is just falling apart, and like not continue on that experiment, we don't want to go backwards into feudalism, into the factory farmed humanity. We want a free ranged humanity. And the only way to do that is by taking the reins ourselves and doing it. And we have this window, so we might as well do it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you.
This hasn't happened yet because I wanted to make sure that it didn't get in the wrong hands, because it could be the beast system. The only way it's not the beast system is if we manage it.
That's true. Yeah, I see that.
But it's, in the very early days of the United States, like, people got involved, and they were involved in their own decision making, in their own, municipal, local, state, federal decisions. Like, that's the only way we get to keep that sovereignty, if we exercise that liberty and actually do it. You know what I mean? That's my big question, is like, are people actually going to do it? Are they going to recognize how important it is? What was it? Benjamin Franklin, coming out of the first Constitutional Congress. So do we have a democracy or a republic? And he said, a republic, if you can keep it. And that's really what it comes down to, is everyday diligence and vigilance.
Right. Yeah, it's some work.
Yep, because if we rest on our laurels, then we end up with a situation as we have now. And that's what allows corruption to happen, when good people stop taking part in their own determination of destiny.
Yeah.
Everybody got comfortable.
Thanks for your work, Xavier.
Thank you, Fong. I appreciate it. I'm blessed. I feel like all the glory goes to God, because we have this mission and this opportunity to build this, and it's not me, it's not you, it's not us, it's all of us, and it's really, in my opinion, building the highest probable outcome for everybody.
Yeah, it is a privilege.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have a question, comment, observation? Sharice, Daniel, Jennifer, Jody. I want everybody to welcome Jody Jones. I brought her onto the team. She has some really profound connections and insight, and she recognizes how important. She's really about the hubs, about the real world locations, and has some really great resources to bring to bear to help make that come true. And she came to a couple of our meetings and has seen exactly what is at play, and she can vouch for some of the things that I've said. So welcome, Jody. Glad to have you here.
Thank you. I'm in love with everything that I'm hearing thus far. I'm definitely your new cheerleader. People are asking me like, oh, why are you so like fired up, I suppose, about Fire On? But I am. I love it, and I'm dedicating myself to supporting this team. So thank you all for everything that you've done thus far, because this is beautiful work and just so necessary. And I don't usually find people that I resonate with so quickly. So maybe it's just the right time and divine timing that this is coming to my life, and it's like a dream. So blessed to be here.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like you showed up at just the right time, and you've got, a lot of pieces of the puzzle. So I'm glad that you're here. Thank you. And this whole crew, Jody, everybody here has been here pretty much since the jump, even before the launch party, when we launched the app, and have been very active in the chat groups on Telegram and on the app itself, which might be a good segue, unless anybody has anything else to add about my issues with the app. And I'm not really thrilled about it, to be honest with you. I sometimes find it cringeworthy. Not the content in there, but just the functionality. It's really upsetting me. And so I've spoken with the development team, and I've said, we spent months, maybe weeks, everybody in the community picking the different channels that they wanted content aggregated from and brought into the chat or into the main feed. But they can't bring it, like all of those channel contents, they can't bring into the main feed. Because like, I would love to open the app and see all of those websites that we all picked stuff from, and see all of the new updates. Because it's like, I want the news. I want to know what's going on, and I want any cool scientific progress. And it's kind of like a pulse on the rest of the world, right? That was my vision for it. And they can't make that happen, not without a great deal of money and time. And I'm like, we bought this infrastructure and your development team in order to be able to execute on this vision that we have. And so we're exploring some other options in terms of this week and next. I have meetings with a couple different developer teams and our foundational team, which are the folks who built the quantum computers, and they're here in Boca. And with the money that we're bringing in this past week and couple days, we're going to see exactly what we can get done. I'm going to communicate with the team at Star Labs who has helped us so far with our app and see if we can get the code. I'm going to do a buyout anyway, but the idea was to get the code and then adjust it as we need for the functions that we need while we're in this raise period. So I've got a couple things to navigate there. We have a couple teams ready and waiting to go to make things happen. And then there's also the option of, there's this company called Flote, Flote, which are really remarkable. They have a sort of Web 3.0 Twitter, and they're adding a whole bunch of functionality and a coin and a lot of the same similar ideas that we've had and the ways that we're doing it. And there might be an opportunity there to use their back end and white label it or whatever. So I'm exploring a couple different options, but we had discussed on the last Fireside that we all wanted to see that content, and I think it's very important. Like, I don't want to see stock photography of Natasha saying I meditated today. It's like, yeah, cool, congratulations, but like I want to learn. Like, that's why no offense, Natasha, like if you meditate, congratulations, I love it and I do like to see it. But when I look at the feed and it's all just stock photography, and while I want to support everybody, like I'm also there to learn, right? And some of the basic functionality of sharing links and content that we find, and that's why I find that we're still all on Telegram so much, is because it's easy to find other content and share it. Like, that's the point of social media, right? It's finding cool stuff that has inspired us or that we're learning from and sharing that knowledge and sharing that insight with others. So that basic functionality needs to happen. And so the next couple of weeks is figuring out how to get that best accomplished, whether it's Flote, whether it's a new ground up build, or if we can get the code and start adjusting it ourselves. So that's an update there on some of the growing edges that we have and the challenges. But it's been like appreciating everybody's patience and understanding the great vision and how long it takes to get to that, and then getting the resources to get it together to be able to execute on that. That's where we've been, and we're sort of starting to see the next rise in the plateau. The stair-step evolution of our progress here, which is very exciting. Whenever these times come, I get super jacked and like, energies. I just like an Energizer bunny, just keep going, right? So I'm very excited about this little run up that we're hitting here. And again, it's not a question of if we raise the minimum 3 million that we need. It's more of a question of when, and we're probably going to get a whole lot more because. Oh, and then for you guys, for the Fire tokens, I've actually found out some really cool information and ways that we can make this happen. There's a couple options. Hold on, I want to see Rachel's comment real quick before I talk about the token. The only problem with the app is functioning. A lot of times it locks up when I'm posting, plus keep looking for updates in the channels. Yes, otherwise all great. This is to be expected and will get ironed out. Thank you. Yes, it will. Hey, aloha, Ethan. Yes, there are little things that bug me about the app. Number one being like some of the time it takes for it to load, and ultimately that content aggregation. I'd like to see that. But in terms of the Fire token, we're going to start. Y'all are just going to get Fire tokens, a certain amount, just for having been here and been a part of the sort of the founding team, right? In early adopters, early beta testers, and we're going to reward you all with that. I figured out a way, from the help of a friend of mine who's done this successfully, get you all discounted tokens if you really want to invest money. But because everybody's unaccredited, or for the most part, there are some of you who are, but we can't just sell unlicensed securities to unaccredited United States citizens. However, you can have overseas companies sell discounted tokens from overseas companies with overseas owners all around the world without any recourse. Well, with considerable less recourse, let's put it that way. And we could do it that way. And we could do like a 50-cent token or a 25-cent token. And then later on, without any guarantees, later on say, hey, remember that 25-cent token that you bought? We're doing a 1-to-1 swap for our new token that's launched that's $1 now. So there's some really creative stuff that we can do there. And we're exploring that. And I want to make sure we can do that legally and ethically and, you know, make it really worthwhile. But either way, we're going to give everybody opportunities to earn the tokens. And you have already just by being part of this, but even more ways, like to go share it on social media, share it on Reddit, you know, that kind of stuff when we're ready. We need to get a certain amount in before we can comfortably say, yes, we can launch. And I think we're actually going to be there in a couple months. So the main focus right now is these law firms with the immigration attorneys and the EB-5s, fulfilling our stuff with the UN World's Fair team, and then taking the monies that are coming in now and making them most effective to get us further down the field to accomplishing our ultimate launch goals, right? So that we know we can be generating revenue, not just on the DEX exchanges on our transactions, but also on the HIPAA compliant medical records and blockchain stuff. Because just with our blockchain medical data, we're able to sell medical records at $100 per medical record without jeopardizing the security of the individual and privacy of the individual, which means there are huge content aggregators and data companies that buy that data, buy medical records. And we've got 2 countries, so we're talking about maybe like a couple 100 million medical records at $100 a pop. Like, we're talking serious money here. And this would, just one of those things would make the whole rest of the vision come true. So these are like, how do we best get to that one little step that will unlock the next chapter in the phase of Firon? So those are, Ethan asks, any updates on the phones? Yeah, you missed it before you came in. I have a meeting today actually on the phones for a company that wants to help take it to market. We're still working on getting contracts for the phones. We're like, it's really about fundraising at this time and getting the right partners in place and getting far enough down the field that we can open up the next, you know, chapter again in Firon. And so the phones, I still foresee them, you know, being in existence before the end of the year. So that's that. Rachel says, super excited about Fire Token. I have children in the background, which is why I write, not to be rude. No, that's all great. Yeah, I'm super excited about the Fire Token too. I think once it launches, we're going to start seeing a huge influx of interest and attention. And I want to make sure all of us and the whole project is really like ready to receive that attention, you know? I'd like to market them for festival production teams. Yes, we can provide security. Anybody coming in, you can scan them and see whether or not they've got COVID or not. You know, that's basically its hugest selling point at this time, and it's perfect timing. In fact, I was talking to one of my partners, and in sort of a dark humor jest, they're like, "We're going to make the CCP like Employee of the Year. Thank you for releasing COVID." You know, because it's made the demand for our products even that much more. So, kind of dark humor, but it's funny in my twisted sense of humor. So, all right. So unless there are any other questions, I want to open it up to discussion and introductions. If there's anybody new here, I'm looking at the list and I think I recognize everybody for the most part. So yeah, opening it up to discussion and questions. Otherwise, we're going to then get into the meditation. This is so awesome. Thanks, Jody. Yes, it is. I'm very, very excited. I don't know if I told you this if you were on at the very beginning, but I flew out to Colorado, and they've committed to $200,000, and then we have 3 other groups, each at 100K. So we're looking at nearly $500,000 in the next few months, in the next few weeks, actually, which will allow us to. Wednesday, I have meetings to see how much we can get done on the app and the decentralized exchange and the HIPAA compliant blockchain with how much money, and then see if we can execute on that. And then figuring out the next step for the Firon app and how it's going to be in the market and functioning. So that's the work I'll be doing along with the same fundraising and project pitching. So exciting couple weeks coming up. And yeah, anybody got any questions? Otherwise, we'll do the meditation. Oh, I got a new cat. Its name is Luna. I'm going to show you the cat real quick. There she is.
Oh,
Yeah.
how old is she?
3 months.
Oh, I have a black kitty too.
Oh my God, congratulations. My little tuxedo boots honors Luna.
Yeah. We have a bird whose name is Soleil, so the sun, and then now the cat, and then getting a dog.
Perfect.
And I am such not like, I've never been a pet person. Like I've never felt like it's a good idea to have pets, but you know, when you have a family and I don't know, just seemed like the right thing to do. My wife has always wanted a cat, and it's her birthday tomorrow. So I was like, let me get her a cat, and she's a witch, so a black cat, and its name is her middle name. So all good.
Awesome.
What is the dog's name gonna be?
Thunder,
Of course.
of course. We were thinking lightning, but maybe Thor. Who knows? My eldest daughter wants it to be Thor.
Don't you already have
agree.
lightning as a bird?
It was originally lightning, but then Leilani was like, you know, I like Soleil. Soleil is the sun in French, and so then I was like, well, as long as we keep the elements and the major archetypes, you know, moving, then we've got them in our house. So
Nice.
like sun and the moon, and then thunder and lightning.
Also, I want to say, it was kind of cool that we had a cancellation last week of the Fireside Chat because I got to miss you guys. Just saying,
Yeah.
I'm being sappy.
Yeah. This helps me every week. I think it's good for consistency and maintaining, you know, momentum and not falling into I got worried missing one. Let's just put it that way. I'm like, I don't want there to be a lapse in consistency. Consistency is super important. Discipline is super important to accomplishing goals. And so long as you keep taking steps forward and it doesn't become a habitual, like, oh, we'll just miss it this week. Like it's important to me. So I'm really glad that we can continue this and that y'all are still into it. Rachel says, if people like myself have property, how can we get plat in exactly? How can we get something in? So that will be something that we discuss later, but sort of, I actually talked to the investors about this yesterday. There's been a successful model that's been used up in North Carolina that we templated ourselves after. It was a intentional community in the 70s. They bought a piece of land together and put it into a trust. So it's tax-free. You don't have to pay property taxes on it. And it is a nonprofit, and it goes into a foundational trust. And then what they do is they sell access, lifelong leases to each of the plots, which means you own the access, right? And that's deedable. You can transfer it to your kids and whatever. So it's essentially like you own the access to it, and it becomes a membership, and you become a member. It's the same model for Firon. It's the same model for our hubs. And so, and what we're able to do is eventually, when Earth credits are in existence as the transactional token within the Firon banking system ecosystem, you can either sell your land into the trust and then never pay property taxes on it. It's owned by the corporation, but you are the one who has access to it and can say what goes on there and what does, like you, it's like you still have ownership without the liability. And this is kind of goes in a line with the whole UN, you'll own nothing but be happy kind of thing. Like, it's not like you own nothing. It's that you own the access to that something. And it on comps in real estate, it's literally the same. Like if there's $100,000 house on in this community and $100,000 house and property somewhere else, and they're equivalent, like they're literally the same price. And because in all functional, in all form and function, you own it. You just don't have the liability of it. Now you'd still need to maintain it, do all these things, but you don't have to pay the property taxes. It's in a trust. It's going to be protected for all eternity. But you get, you know, you can still transfer it to your kids and have safety for your generations, which we're looking to do at the property up in NC. Put it into a trust, and then sell membership. You buy the house, and so if you build the house is yours. I don't know if you've ever seen that meme where it's like the husband and wife get divorced. Where she owns the land, he owns the house, and so he just takes the house and moves it. It's kind of like that. You'll get you will own the house, and when you sell, you're selling that house. That's where your value is, right? So So that's Rachel, if that's how one way we'll do it in the future. The other way is like you maintain it, own it, keep it, but then you use the Firon ecosystem as a management tool for it, whereby you open up a Firon hub and then you get the hexahomes. So we have the three main big products, right? The app with the HIPAA compliant blockchain, the DEX, and the transactions. We have the phone with the sensor and the hardware, and then we have the building material. Each one of those three pillars has billion-dollar profits IP in there. So whichever one we get going first makes all the rest of them go, right? And me personally, I'm not trying to have $1 million freaking salary. What I want to do is everybody in the Firon bank or the Firon cooperative, it's sort of like everybody gets a $100,000 salary like that. If everybody had $100,000 a year salary, and then you had access to like yachts and boats and shit like that, like you don't need to, nobody needs to have so much money that they can influence the outcome of the sovereign individuals in a country. Like that's a basic, like, hey, you know, like that makes sense, right? And so, and therefore furthering the, and this is what they did in the US government too. It's like the president's cap is at $100,000 a year. It's like, that's the idea. But then they start making deals on all the sides so that they make decisions, they get book deals, which is fair, but it's actually payment so that they do something corrupt. Like we got to cut all that shit. Like all of that shit's got to go. And so even the president or the primary counsel or whatever the title is for the chairman of the council, like they can't have so much decision making power that allows them to corrupt the program over time, right? It has to be such that the power in decision making is distributed amongst 13 council members who don't have any power to make an effect and decide things. It all has to be decided together, and then they get to execute on it. And if they don't do that, or if they make decisions selfishly or for their own purposes or for their own special interests, then their rating goes low and they're gone, you know? And then each of the 13 council members will have a role. Like, let's say your job as a council member is to oversee the investments that Firon makes. And that's your department. Not only is that your department, but you might have a seat on the council that says, I speak for the fish, or I speak for the trees, or I speak for the future generations. And every decision you make has to be within that framework of like, what would the future generations want? What would the fish say about this decision? We're giving voice to the voiceless. And that's the only way we can actually start beginning to recognize the sovereignty and God that's in all beings, right? The sentience in all things. So like, and I don't go advertising this much, but it's kind of foundationally fundamental of a philosophy behind the whole Firon thing. Like I don't talk to investors usually about that unless that's something that they're passionate about. Because most people don't really think about that. But how do we train an entire civilization to think about that? Well, we institutionalize it to begin with, and then over generations, it becomes part of the foundational infrastructure of our thinking processes, right? This is what I'm trying to do. I'd like to get in with you on this for certain. I think you will really like the property and be a great part. Yes, so I'm going up second week of July for sure. Not backing out this time. I've threatened to go up to Asheville and Burnsville and come see you, but it just hadn't made sense. And now, like, we're going to be taking a road trip cross country. We're going to be going up to Ocala, Sebring, North Carolina, and then North Carolina for a week, probably the second week of July, and then cross country. So let's make it a point to visit in Western North Carolina, second week of July. Okay. And we'll come check out your property and you guys can come. I'll announce it. And if anybody's in the area, they can come see our place and sort of the vision of what the Firon hub in the mountains is going to look like. All right. Sweet. Anybody else? Anything else? Got 13 participants here. Oh, and just on the council, like I would like to invite well-known famous people to be our first council. Like, you know, Chief Avril Looking Horse, you know, I'd like to bring, you know, Malala, you know, she's somebody that's been inspiring to me, you know, just get some of the well-known people who are not compromised spiritually or soulfully, and who are experts in their field. Charles Eisenstein, you know, some of these well-notable people, and invite them to come be some of our first council. And that comes, you know, as soon as we're like fully in operations and we're demonstrating the veracity of this operational system, right? So excited.
Love it.
All right, cool. Everybody feel complete? Oh, what's the future of the podcast ideas we threw at you? So Daniel, thanks. Good question. So it's literally been a factor of me sitting in front of my laptop. I hardly ever do that, and I have to do that a lot this week. So what I'll be doing is I'll be going on open broadcasting software, OBS, and tying in all the places that we're going to stream to. Oh, I got kicked off of YouTube, by the way. Yippee! They stopped allowing me uploading videos. I guess they didn't like the most recent ones. So I've got to figure out better streaming situations, probably to Odyssey to begin with. I don't know if I can stream to DLive yet because I don't have a certain amount of followers or whatever. But yeah, we're gonna stream it and then host it on Odyssey or 3Live or 3Speak. And I got to go in and find those streaming keys. And I showed you all the template, and I'm not super happy with it. And like I got to do some work on the framing of it and what it looks like so that it feels like professional and good. And then we're going to start. What William and I discussed was probably have a discussion with all of you all, pick some people and do like one day, and then pick some other people and do another day, and just begin a conversation about the world that we would like to live in, right? And then from there, get some of the people that we want to interview, Russell Brand, Jordan Peterson, just like anybody and everybody, from Q people to far lefties. Like we want to just have a discussion where people aren't triggered and polarized, but we can actually come to some agreements. And I think that will be an important bit. And it's hard because like right now I'm in this like humbleness track, and my angel said, don't make a big deal of yourself. Don't put yourself out there. Just get the work done and do the work. And so I'm internally a little hesitant to do the podcast because I'm not trying to be famous or not trying to be an influencer or anything. Like it's really all about the mission. So I'm feeling like it's important to do, and that if we're going to get people like Charles Eisenstein on as council members, then they need to find out about what it is. And I figure the best way to do that is to have conversations. So that'll be sort of the purpose of it. And I just got to get out of my own way and get it done. So that's the future of the podcast. It should be coming within the next week or two, I'd like to say. All right. Okay, cool. So let's do the meditation. Unless anybody has anything else that they want to add or say. All right. All right, please find yourself in a nice, comfortable, quiet place, either seated or lying down. And just become present here in the moment. Let all of our discussion about Fire On or any concerns or considerations you've had for the past week or pressing issues for the week, just put them aside for right now. We'll do a visualization of a warm relaxation glow flowing through us, flowing over us, melting our concerns and stresses off of us. And we'll do a breathing exercise with 4 inhales and exhales, where we draw in the piezoelectric energy of the Earth's magnetic field into our body on the inhale, spiraling it up our spines, pausing, sitting in the stillness, increasing our awareness in the stillness, exhaling that light energy like a water fountain spiraling around us, increasing the coherence of the atoms and molecules around our being. And we'll do that 4 times, and then we'll do a visualization exercise where we increase the density of that which we are aware of within our own being. So to begin, again, just find yourself in a nice, comfortable seated position or lying down. Make sure you turn your phone off or any of the intrusions that you might get from the outside world. Just take a couple relaxing breaths. With each exhale, increasing the relaxation and the presence and awareness of presence. And we'll imagine a glowing rose gold light coming down from the heavens and bathing you in its warmth and its radiance. Imagine any of your stresses or concerns just melting off of you like wax off of a candle, or warm coconut oil melting down your back to form a pool below you. And as that rose gold light comes and lights you up, imagine a hole at the top of your crown through which it will enter and fill the cup of your vessel with warm, aware, conscious light. And as that hole in the crown of your head, the crown chakra opens, imagine this warm rose gold light beginning to fill your vessel from the top down, like a candle in a cave, touching the top of your brain, relaxing the synapses. And as the light continues down within your skull, filling your brain, covering your third eye, opening up that energy center so that you might see clearly, relieving your mind of any stress and concerns, fully present on the words that I'm sharing and the awarenesses that you are becoming aware of. Deep relaxation in your brow, deep awareness of the presence of yourself at this moment, and the light filling up the vessel of your being. Wherever it touches, warming your being, and that any blockages or any concerns melt off you, to pool below you so that you might be above your concerns and your stresses, to be fully aware in this moment, in gratitude and in peace and presence. As the light continues down within your skull, finally covering your nose and your cheekbones and your ears, down to your teeth and your jaw, into your neck, that your whole head might be full of this radiant rose gold light, warmth, relaxation. And as the light continues down, it covers your throat chakra, and the energy center opens that you might be more radiant in your speaking, in your singing, and your sharing of the truth. And as the light continues down, your neck muscles and your shoulder muscles, allow any of the tension there to melt off you. A deeper warmth, a deeper relaxation. Allow gravity to hold you. Feel its weight, feel the weight of your being, and rest into that. Deep let and go. And as the light continues down over your shoulders, your clavicle and your back muscles and the upper back, comes down within into your lungs, into your heart. And that energy center opens up into gratitude. Gratitude for your ancestors. Gratitude for the life force of which you are the leading edge. Exploring and experiencing reality is the accumulation of all of the experiences, passions, strivings, and adventures of your ancestors. Grateful for the blood pumping through your heart, for the oxygen feeding all of your limbs and all of your vessel. As the top half of your body is filled with this rose gold light, any of the stress or concerns is melted off you. As the light continues down to your diaphragm, bottom of your rib cage and your solar plexus, opening up that energy center that you might know I am. Stillness, presence, the power of your being and your intention and your will, the localized field of awareness that is the infinite creator, expressing itself as you. I am. As that rose gold light continues down, covering up your biceps to your elbows into your belly, deep relaxation in your digestive system, where you assimilate new information and build it into the vessel that you are, to the being that you are, opening up that energy center for creativity, acquisition of wealth, Kundalini, the direction and creative alignment and assignment of that energy force in your experience, opening, effortless, creative. All of the top half of your vessel and your being lit up in this rose gold gnosis, this awareness of consciousness, peace. And as the light continues down into your belly, down to your pelvis, covering your arms and forearms, into your pelvis and your upper thighs, opening up the root chakra energy system. You are amongst your people. You are a human in the human tribe. Unless you are not, and then welcome. And you are part of a family, a soul group, striving in innocence and earnestness towards grandiose light, simplistic being, contemplating your place in the universal oneness and the flow of reality. A complete being, a bright light in the field of stars. As the light continues down to your knees and your thighs, calves, imagine it filling the entirety of your vessel as a candle and a light would in a cave, all the way to your toes, ankles, shins, from the top of your crown to the bottom of your toes, head to toe, from the outer skin and the outer being of your energetic system to the very center of your core, head to toe, skin to bones, full of this radiant conscious light, lining up all of the atoms and molecules in your vessel into perfect balance, perfect expression of you, this localized field of awareness, this facet on the gem of the infinite creator, this spark of the fire of creation, this note in the grand symphony. Take a moment to be present in this place, in your full lit up glory. We will begin the breathing exercise. On each inhale, you will spiral the energy of the earth up through your energy centers like a tornado of light, up through your spine, radiating out into your body. And on the complete inhalation, you will hold it, becoming aware of the stillness, becoming aware of your effortlessness and floating in the sea of cosmic awareness. And on the exhale, you will imagine a water fountain of spiraling light cascading around the aura of your vessel, around the torus of your vehicle, the magnetic field of your piezoelectric presence. And as that light cascades down, you will imagine the molecules of air around you aligning into perfect balance, like the flower of life, so that your being might be more conductive of the life force of creation to flow through, organize, and magnetize that which you seek into your field of being, making your reality generator that much more effective. And on the complete exhalation, you will pause and hold it, again becoming aware of the effortlessness and stillness of the pure gnosis of your being. And we will do that 4 times. Begin, inhale, hold it, Exhale, increasing the capacity of your vessel, and hold. Inhale, spiraling the life force energy up your spine. Inhale, and hold it. Strengthening the coherence of your auric field. Exhale, and hold it. Inhale, hold it. Exhale, and hold it. Inhale, drawing the energy up and increasing the light of your being. Hold it. Aware of the stillness of creation. Exhale, strengthening your auric field and the light with which you are capacitated. And hold it. Drawing the life force of energy up through your spine. Inhale, and hold it. Aware of the greater vessel of your aura and magnetic field. Exhale, strengthening that and lighting your being. And hold it. Inhale, drawing the energy up, spiraling through your spine. And hold it. Exhale, the water fountain of light, strengthening and organizing the more auric field, and hold it. Last one, inhale, and hold it. Organizing the atoms and molecules of your magnetic field. Exhale. Now, breathe comfortably and with relaxation. Allow your vessel to breathe in and out with the awareness of the drawing of energy in on the inhale and the structuring of your vessel on the exhale. And as you are aware of the molecules of air around you, affected by your magnetic field, you become aware that they form geometric shapes according to your memories, your thoughts, and your intentions. Though you cannot perceive with your eyes, you are able to perceive with your subtle senses. This is where the memories of your friends who love you come when they are about to call. The sensitivity of your awareness to the molecules of air and the magnetic field around you is where we draw in our intentions and that which we manifest. And as you are aware that this is an extension of your being, and that magnetic field of yours is an extension of your being, the capacity for telekinesis, psychic telepathy, all resides in your capability of understanding and loving that which is around you, which is an extension of you. Your localized field of awareness increases when you increase the capacity for love and acceptance and see all that you survey as an aspect of yourself. And in so doing, become aware of the molecules of air around you in the room that you are within, the structure of those molecules creating the walls and the roof of the vessel and the being that you are within as an aspect of your outer projections of yourself. And so too are the emotions and memories of your own experience embedded upon these molecules and the walls. This place holds you, shelters you, gives you a place to structure yourself, to experience yourself and your note in the grand symphony of creation. As you are aware of these molecules in the air and the atoms that structure this place, bring your awareness to the totality of that space. Become aware of the furniture and the walls and roof, the electrical outlets, See it as translucent and made up of space, like all atoms are. And that your awareness is the lightning that travels through it. Your consciousness is that vril, that chi, that thunder force that travels through all things, that holds all things together. And that your consciousness and awareness can travel through and around and beyond all of these things, as they are all an extension of your awareness. And as you are aware of these molecules and the atoms and the space between them, increase your size and awareness until you are floating above this place, whether it is an apartment complex, a home, an office, and see the story of this place as a container for the story of your place in this symphony. All of the ideas and histories of ideas and imaginings that others have put together to create this place within which you dwell. The ancestors of yours making their choices to create the vessel within which you embody. Songs in the grand symphony of creation, comprised of millions of notes, millions of atoms, millions of molecules. A sea of gnosis, a sea of awareness, of experiential reality. As you increase the size and magnification of your awareness, become aware of the town around you, of the city, of the woods and the forest. Aware of the life forms there, whether it be birds or animals, insects and plants, humans and two-leggeds, all comprised of atoms formed into molecules with intention, held together by the life force of creation, of which you are. Spread your electrical life force into all of those things with gratitude and awareness, love and appreciation, understanding that the field of your being encompasses all of these. And the greater degree to which you love, contemplate, and accept these things, the greater degree to which you comprehend and understand that which is around you. Increase your size and magnification until you're floating above the city or the county that this place and your vessel is welled within. A cacophony of beings, life forces, stories, songs, expressing themselves in the field of awareness that is a greater consciousness of the planet. Billions of atoms and molecules formed into countless formations, alive, held together by the life force of which you are. You increase your size and magnification until you are floating above the nation within which you find yourself. Its own song, its own story, complete with its own history, its own notes, telling a story of consciousness expressing itself in a particular way, with the songs of the genetics of the ancestors and beings, plants, expressing gnosis and awareness in its own particular story and its own particular song, amongst a sea of stories and sea of songs. Increase your size and magnification until you comprise the entirety of the planet. The moving rocks, the swaying seas, the blowing winds, the shaking trees, the four-leggeds, the winged ones, the insects, the fish, and the song of humanity. Undulating, swaying, pulsing, expressing particular ways of being, held together by the thunder nation, the lightning force, the chi within all things, holding it all together, of which you are. The history of this earth and all the cultures and civilizations, expressions of the one infinite creator in its multitudinous forms. A song of beauty, of balance, of chaos, of love, striving. And as you are aware of the edges of the atmosphere of this place, find yourself floating as a light on the very edge of the sphere. Become aware of those of you who are here with us, the other souls in this journey, as lights circling the planet, with a web of light from you to each one of them, and a light of each one of them to each one of you, a web of intricacy, trust, innocence, earnest, heartfelt striving, balance, love. And let that web radiate light down to the planet, that all the beings there might know peace for a brief moment, to be still and to know that I am. And as you are doing this, you are aware of the angelic presence, the guardians of this planet, as part of that web, watching over us, over the ancestors, over the history and the unfolding of this planet and its consciousness. And they are grateful for your presence and your awareness. The totality of the world, an expression of which you are a part, a song which your note is inexorably woven into, a tapestry whose thread that you are is woven into. As you increase your size and magnification, become aware of the moon and its history. All of the atoms and molecules form together to create its song, its influence, its home. And as you increase your size and magnification, you become aware of the other spheres in this system: the sun, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, each one a consciousness collected by the histories of billions of civilizations, billions of beings, trillions of atoms forming into millions and billions of molecules, expressing the various formations of the infinite creator in all of its multitudinous form. Each one a song in the grand symphony of creation, of which you are a part. Their awareness and their histories influencing you in ways that are so large that it is hard to comprehend. All spiraling around a central sun, a churning, burning, ongoing creation force, generating all of the atoms within which we dwell, creating the life force within which the Creator manifests itself to experience life, to experience separateness, to experience localized awareness. The sun comprised of the souls of billions and billions of historical beings since the dawn of creation, an ever-present life-giving force, allowing us the opportunity to experience reality. Clothed in the atoms of its dreaming, we dance within the dream of creation. Increase your size and awareness till the solar system shrinks to a pinprick of light, and you are surrounded in a sea of pinpricks of light, each of which are their entire solar systems of their own, their entire being, historical trillions of beings comprising their gnosis, comprising their consciousness, each one a note in the grand symphony of creation, comprised with billions of molecules and trillions of atoms, trillions of years of history and formation of civilizations and orchestrations of awareness and manifestation of individuation. Each one a symphony in the symphony of creation, surrounded by life, connected by the lightning and light force that connects all things, of which you are inexorably woven and are infinitely a part. As you increase your size and magnification, each of those lights coalesce into one. You find yourself floating above the galaxy of the Milky Way, spiraling in its life force, undulating in its expression of life, comprised of infinite atoms, infinite civilizations, infinite star systems, teeming with life and gnosis and awareness. You become aware of the other galaxies nearby. Like the pinpricks of light, they too are separated by far distances, however held together by the life force, the electrical life force of all things, of which you are. Each of those galaxies an entire song full of billions of years of history, trillions of molecules, expressions of infinite manifestations of the one infinite creator, a sea of awareness. And as you increase your size and magnification, all of those galaxies coalesce into one pinprick of light. And you find again that you are surrounded by a sea of those lights, each one a universe full of infinite unfolding probabilities, countless molecules, countless atoms, countless life forms, historical sagas, consciousness on a galactic scale, on a solar system scale, on an individual scale, an atomic scale. Each one of those lights are a universe in their own right. And you recognize that they are atoms separated by the distance that atoms are separated, mostly space, held together by the lightning force that holds all things, of which you are. Your consciousness, your awareness holding all of this together. As you increase your size and magnification, you recognize that each one of those light universes into themselves are atoms within a molecule, within a vessel, in a cell in your being, held together by your awareness and your consciousness, held together by the lightning force that holds all things together. And you are back in your body, billions of atoms held together, millions of molecules, with infinite universes within each one, the power of the stars, the power of infinite galaxies and infinite universes, powering this vessel that you are, that you inhabit, the lightning force of creation, animating, creating, intending, an infinite being of eternal nature, experiencing itself, churning infinite civilizations and infinite star systems within itself, in each one of your atoms. Light and life, eternal, animating this vessel at this particular level, in this particular story, as your particular note in the song of the grand symphony of creation. Amen. In gratitude, I share this with you. I love you.
Aho.
There we go. Thank you all. Become aware of your toes and your fingers. My toes are asleep. And here you are, here we are, adventuring once again for another week in this place that we call here and now on Earth in the 21st century. So I wish you all a great week. If anybody would like to share anything, something that they experienced or any thoughts, I'll give you the last few moments here before we close up the meeting. All right. Thank you all. I'll see you next week. And I look forward to this grand adventure that we are on. The recording is stopped. Yes, the recording has stopped.